Morning, welcome to Channel 16, Tuckahoe's Government Access Channel. My guest today is Eric Esso, who is the chairman of the Tuckahoe Housing Authority. Welcome, Eric.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Eric, you've done a fantastic job down at the Housing Authority. Before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about your personal background.
Okay.
Where you were raised,
Okay.
schooling,
I was born
and that lovely girl you were married.
Oh, yes, I'm going to most certainly give her. Yeah, I'll most certainly give her a mention also. I was born and raised in Eastchester. I attended the Eastchester public school system. I graduated from the high school in, a long time ago, 1962, I believe.
Oh, you're still a young lad.
At heart, also. I attended Pace College. I graduated Pace in, I guess, 1967, I think it was, with a bachelor's degree in business administration. I was fortunate enough, or very fortunate, I should say, to marry Joanne Ferry, a Tuckahoe girl, and then we sort of moved out of town for a while. I went to work for IBM in the management field. I went to work for Michelin Tire, also in management, and then I worked for a short time with PepsiCo. I was also on my own for about 20-some-odd years in 2 or 3 different restaurant adventures, which were very good. We moved back to Tuckahoe, I guess, just about 20 years ago. We bought a house on Oakland Avenue, and here I am today in the Tuckahoe Housing Authority.
Well, that's great. Tuckahoe Housing Authority, people know a little bit about it. Let's talk about the Tuckahoe Housing Authority. What is it? How many units?
Okay, well, the Tuckahoe Housing Authority was created under the 1937 Fair Housing Act. It was established or constructed in 1950 with the purpose of providing safe, clean, and affordable housing for low to moderate income families. We started off with Sanford Gardens, which was 99 units constructed on Midland and Washington streets in Tuckahoe. And then in 1970, we added 52 more units up at Union Place. And that's dedicated solely to the use of, or for the use, I should say, of the senior citizens.
Yeah,
so right now,
we were one of the first housing authorities to get rolling. We would have probably been built much earlier had not the war come along.
Yeah, I heard that. I understand that. Right now we have 151 units in total, which are project-based, and project-based simply means that the residents live right within the authority. The other arm of the Housing Authority is the Section 8 program, and we have about 130 certificates out. And they're more or less, a good majority of those live in Tuckahoe, and then there's the rest are diversified among the other communities.
Yeah, and I understand it's quite a waiting list for the Section 8.
There's quite a waiting list also for not only the Section 8 certificates, but also for the Housing Authority proper. It's very difficult to get in.
Now you have the senior group as well as the
as well as the regular residents, family groups. Yes.
Now, how does it manage? How many employees do you have down there?
Well, there's really two arms of government. One is the Board of Commissioners, and the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority are the policymakers. And that's comprised of 5 appointed commissioners by the mayor or the supervisor of the town, whatever that case may be. In this case, it's you. And the five appointed commissioners serve 5-year terms. And the purpose of that is because the authority should be independent from the village and not a political arm of the village. Currently, Ed Bonsi is the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, and Al Norelli, whom I'm sure you're aware of, is the vice chairman of the board. Gerard Yancey is the assistant secretary, and then we have Tony Cacciolo as a commissioner and Richard Curran as a commissioner. Besides that, there are 2 elected tenant commissioners, and they serve 2-year terms. Louise Peterson being one from the senior building, and Virginia Henderson just recently came in as a interim commissioner until the next election as the other, and she's from the Washington Street area.
That's great. They all seem to get along quite well.
We work very well together. It's that arm, as I said, is the policy-making arm, and then we go into the operational part of the authority, which is myself as the executive director, and I have a staff of three in the office, being Claudine Bonsi, who's actually Claudine Bonsi and Kathy Vigiano are housing coordinators, and then Irma DePaolo is the Section 8 coordinator. Besides the three ladies, I have William Sisko, the maintenance manager, and Bill has four fellows working for him. Roy Alexander, Carl Creighton, Michael Walker, and Willie Travis.
Now, that's nice, too, that you employ mostly Tuckahoe residents, which
All
is
Tuckahoe,
great.
Tuckahoe or Eastchester
That's
residents.
great.
Yeah.
And it helps us, too, with the needs
Oh,
of
yeah.
our community.
And besides the staff that are in office, we also have a pretty good support team. We have an in-house attorney, an architect and engineer firm helps us with our renovations and new projects, an accounting firm, and what we call a mod coordinator, and he's the fellow that helps us spend the money that we receive from HUD.
And hopefully we got enough of it.
Oh, yeah.
That's I guess, the third level of government, HUD. How do they interface with you?
Well, HUD is
Which stands for?
Housing and Urban Development, and HUD basically watches over, and I'll just say watches over the housing authorities. They provide subsidies, and they supply monies for improvements, and they more or less control what we do, or I should say what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Fortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, they're not that involved with the Tuckahoe Housing Authority. The Tuckahoe Housing Authority is what we call a high performer. We have a FEMAP score, or FEMAP is the Public Housing Assessment Management Program, and that's really a rating for how the authority works.
Which, incidentally, was failing when you first took over.
When I came in '95, I believe it was at a 64%, and fortunately, we were able to bring that up to 91.37. How's that for an about number?
Getting close to that 100 mark.
Exactly
That's great.
right.
You've
So
done a fantastic job.
when that happens, they classify us as a high performer, and they sort of step back a little. And they've stepped back a little. And I'll tell you, the mix between the operations side and the commissioners, Ed Bonsi and Al Norelli, are very, very involved in the Housing Authority, as are the other commissioners, but they're more hands-on, and we get a lot accomplished.
You've done a lot of renovations down there recently. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Well, we're in the middle right now of doing an office renovation job, and along with the office renovation, we're also upgrading the community room for the senior citizens. We're putting in a handicapped kitchen and a handicapped restroom, which were not there before. It's right now, if you come into the authority, it'll look like a bomb hit it. It's really in bad shape, and hopefully, excuse me, hopefully we're going to be completed for the Thanksgiving holiday.
What were some of the things that you found that had to be done rather urgently when you first came in?
Well, we did I think the biggest problem that I found when I came in was attitude. Besides physical improvements, I didn't see a good relationship between the executive director's office and the tenants, and that's what I worked very hard at establishing. And I'll tell you, thankfully, it's paid off. Some of the physical things that we did was we did some landscaping, a lot of landscaping. We made some improvements as far as concrete walks are concerned, and renovations and new appliances for tenants and things like that. We also were very fortunate enough to have the village of Tuckahoe donate a piece of property to us, which we're going to further develop and put some outdoor tables and umbrellas and so on for the senior citizens to use. We just recently had that area fenced in, so it would be more or less for the senior citizens and the older folks of Tuckahoe.
Yeah, that's a little senior citizen park that's dedicated to Carl Shorski.
Yes, it is.
And he was quite active down there. He was 104 when he passed away.
God,
quite an
amazing.
active person.
It is.
Right?
That's amazing. It is. We have some real great older folks that are living right now in the authority, and they're very active.
That's great.
They're very active.
And it's nice to see the organization down there. They seem to draw the people in that building into activities where it had been elsewhere and they had to travel to
Well,
it.
that's Jean Gestorff and her group,
Yeah.
and they're doing a great job also.
Yeah. I know you've had a lot of big events over the years. What's the biggest event you had this year?
Well, we've had a few big events this year. First off was and not particularly in the order that they may have been, but the biggest thing that's happened to us this year was the finally coming to grips with the fire district tax of the town of Eastchester. For those who are unaware, the fire district tax, or the housing authority was always exempt from that particular tax.
All housing
All
authorities.
housing authorities are, with the exception of one, I think, in Seattle, Washington. But we make a payment in lieu of taxes. It's called a pilot payment to the town, and the town...
And the village.
And the village, and the school district also. And that's approximately 10% of what our net income is, minus some costs. In 1989, that exemption was lifted, I think almost by error. And when we realized what happened, or when the people in charge at the time realized what happened, HUD advised us to go to court and sue the town of Eastchester to get the exemption put back in place. Well, we did go to court, and we did lose, and we did take it up to the next level, and we lost again. And recently, over this past summer, we just paid the town of Eastchester $545,000, and and right now, thanks to Mr. Kavanaugh and the Eastchester Town Council, we're right back where we started in 1989. We
Well, you should have been right along.
Well, it was a little expensive, but we got back to where we need to be.
Yeah, earlier you talked about the relationship with the tenants in that organization. And one of the things that I think stands out, in my estimation, is your public meetings.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about?
Well, I noticed that there used to be maybe a 2 or 3 sentence notice in the Eastchester Record that the Housing Authority was going to have its meetings on the third Tuesday of each month, and they used to put that, I guess, in the paper at the beginning of the year. I didn't find much public participation there, especially from the tenants. And I think the tenants are the key to the success of the Housing Authority, or one of the big keys, I should say. We went on to the cable TV, as we do now, and we advertise our meetings, and we also put up notices on the individual building bulletin boards that when the meeting is going to be held, a time and a place of each meeting. And I'll tell you, we get a very good tenant participation.
Where are you holding those?
Well, right now, we used to hold them in my office, but it became a little crowded. And we shifted over to 4 Union Place, the community room.
The community room.
With the current renovations that are going on, we have not gotten a great turnout, and we haven't really pushed to get a good turnout because of the messed up things that are in down there, but we'll start again very, very soon.
Now, what are you learning from the tenants? I'm sure that there's probably a lot of them that will talk to you now that probably didn't in the past about some of their concerns.
Concerns are upgrading. One of the big concerns are upgrading, getting the place the way it should be. Another big concern is security. And the Housing Authority is a very tight-knit community. And there are a lot of concerns here, but a lot of people are also very skeptical about expressing their concerns. But you can feel it, and you can see it in the authority, and we've taken steps to eliminate that. We provide a very good security system. Right now we have a guard on payroll who's a part-time guard. And in conjunction with that, as you know, we got together with the village of Tuckahoe, and we instituted the bike patrol with Chief Mignon.
Thankful for your contribution.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that, but it's actually us that are benefiting from it also. We instituted a bike patrol, and what we plan on doing now, we just received a drug grant, or a drug elimination grant, and the sum of about $75,000. And what we plan on doing now is setting up a community policing station within the authority, and that will, it'll be an office where bike patrols will start from and finish up. It'll be where maybe one of the DARE offices will be stationed, so the residents or the children of the residents of the community come in and talk to them whenever they want. And there'll be a presence there, a police presence there, which I think is also going to be another very, very good security measure on our part.
And just so the public doesn't misunderstand, we've never had a big problem down there. There's been a few small incidents.
Right.
This is more preventative.
Well, that's what we want to do. We don't want to have a big problem. We don't want anything to get out of hand. We want to stop something before it starts. And also, in line with that drug grant that we received, we're going to install a surveillance system. And it's not that we want to spy or look at our tenants. We just wanted people to see the cameras and know it's a preventative measure to help them maintain a more secure
Well, much like
area.
they have in many public buildings.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
One of the things too, with the greater police presence down there, will be the new precinct.
Yes, yeah, that's going to be at Washington Street.
Good.
And that's, as I said, that's where the bike patrols will start and finish, and there'll be hopefully officers on duty at various times of the day.
This program called Neighborhood Policing has been very successful in many communities, and we're getting a lot of nice comments from the tenants down there, along with your cooperation in it. We appreciate it.
As I said in the beginning, we want to provide a clean, decent, safe, and affordable place to live in, and this is part of it. It's really part of it. We have a lot more to do. We feel we've done an awful lot, or we started to do an awful lot. We have an awful lot more to do. I'm very proud of the fact that prior to, I guess, the 2 years before I came in, 94 and 95, the Housing Authority received only $60,000 in federal assistance from HUD. And we're not subsidized, by the way. We don't receive any operating subsidy.
Right.
But we received improvement grants to help better the authority. This year, from HUD, I applied for and we received $644,000.
That's great. That's
It is
quite a
great.
sum of money.
It's great. And then as that just kicked in, it just so happened that through your urging, I contacted Anthony Zano, and Anthony got back to me, and we received another $240,000 in county money.
What are we going to do with all this money, Eric?
Well, we're going to fix some roofs. We're going to put in a new burner. A new oil burner needs to be done. The one that's there now is probably from the day of the flood around 1950. We've had a lot of problems with it. We want to prevent any more problems, so we want to replace that whole system. And
Right.
I'm still looking for more. We just applied through the Community Development Comp Grant system through you. We asked for about another $700,000, $800,000, which I'd like to go in and renovate all the kitchens and bathrooms at Washington and Midland Streets. Don't know if we're going to get it, but I'm most certainly hoping that we will, or get a good part of it anyway.
That's great. What else do you see in the future, Eric?
Future for the Housing Authority, a lot of improvements, as I said. A lot of physical improvements need to be made. I find from a political point of view, if you want to call it politics, I find HUD stepping back even more so than they are now.
What will that mean to you, or into the Housing Authority?
I think what it's going to mean is a decrease in the availability of funds. And I think what the Housing Authority is going to do, the not-for-profit is a key term that's being used now. And basically what it is the Housing Authority sponsoring or going into partnership with other concerns where we can generate money that we can put into the low-income end of the business, the Housing Authority itself, for improvements. But I find that we'll be here for a while, and we have a lot to do, and it's just great being involved in this.
Well, that's great.
It is.
We've been talking to Eric Esso, who is the chairman of the Housing Authority. He operates, as he mentioned, with a board that's composed of appointed members and elected members, and they all seem to be on the same wavelength.
Exactly.
And they do have a varied background. I think one is a banker, another is a school teacher,
Bonds is
an
a
accountant.
teacher. It's a very good mix.
Yeah.
Because when you go to and just recently came, Tony Cacciola just recently came in, and I'll tell you, as far as grants are concerned and construction projects are concerned, Tony, you go to Tony and find out what you need to know. Dick Curran, with his background, is very, very helpful.
We're very pleased to get Tony there. Even though he's retired, he still wants to remain
Tony
active
is
in the
probably
community.
more active now than he's ever been as a retired person.
Between golf and
Between golf and
And the housing
meetings and here and there and everywhere, but he's a great fellow, and I'll tell you, the whole board is great, and they make my job easy.
Yeah.
They're very easy to get along with and very easy to work with.
Through the years, at least until fairly recently, we were considered one of the number one housing authority in the country. Years ago, under Pat Scampoli and Corinne Birdie, all the blacktop was ripped up and lawns were planted and foliage was put around the buildings, and the people take care of it, unlike other housing authorities where they're ripping them down now to put different types there.
Yeah, we're very fortunate as far as that's concerned. Our tenants do get involved. I would like to see some more tenant involvement on a more formalized basis, which we're having a bit of a problem getting that started.
Yeah.
And I've gone out a few times, I've reached out a few times to try to get the tenants involved into a tenants association, which used to be in existence And it was even when I came in. I worked hard with the Reverend Crumpton to get it off the ground, and it doesn't seem to work for some reason. I think we need to get into it a little more deeply.
But you are getting the people to come out and talk about some of the things that other tenants may be remiss with.
Right, exactly.
And that's great.
Exactly.
That indicates they have the interest there, and they're not going to let anyone spoil it.
My door is open, and that's one of the ways I operate. The girls in the office are very helpful. If anyone has a problem, they call, they come up. They can come in to see me. They can make arrangements or agreements with, as far as late rents are concerned.
Right.
I'll work with anyone to get to achieve the end result.
Why don't you explain to the audience where your office is?
Well, we're located at 4 Union Place,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and that's the main office. Right now, we have the Section 8 office down here in Village Hall, but she should be coming up in about another, hopefully, 20 days or so.
All right, and what are your hours there?
We're open from 8:30 to 4.
Uh-huh. And if someone wanted to call you?
961-3373.
Okay.
And they can get applications there for both low-income housing and Section 8 housing also.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about qualifications for that type of housing?
Well, there is a scale,
Mhm.
okay, and it's you can only be making X amount of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the family size, and basically that's it.
Okay. And they pay no more depending upon the family
30% of
size,
their
and
rent,
30% of their
30% of their
income.
rental family income minus various deductions,
Right.
medical expenses for seniors and old age deductions, that type of thing.
So if someone in the community is interested in low-income housing in one of the finest housing authorities in the country, call Eric Esso, 961-3373. Eric, it's a pleasure having you here.
Well, thank
today.
you very much for having me. I hope to come back again
Thank you.
and give you an update.
Certainly.